Good morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from the George H.W. Bush Museum in College Station, Texas. Today's verse is Titus 3:3. For we also once were foolish ourselves, disobedient, deceived, enslaved to various lusts and pleasures, spending our life in malice and envy, hateful, hating one another. Boy, doesn't this sound like a lovely verse? Well, this is quite important. It starts with the word for, which points to the previous verse that we covered last week over here, which is that we should malign no one, and the immediate context being the leaders that we are supposed to be subject to, such as government leaders and so forth. But really, it's anyone. We should malign no one in life. And here's the reason why we should not speak ill of anybody else. For we also once were foolish ourselves. Okay, well, the fool says in his heart there is no God. So I suppose I could own up to that, because before I became a Christian, I did not believe in God. So yes, I'll own that one. I was foolish. Then it continues, disobedient. Okay, sure, I disobeyed my parents and so forth, and even disobeyed the law a couple of times, stealing some candy from the store. I admit that. Then deceived. Okay, don't like to admit that I was deceived. But again, I could own that, I was a fool, didn't believe in God, the devil deceived me, and I believed him rather than God. So I'll own that one too. Enslaved to various lusts and pleasures. Well, they're upping the game a little bit here. Now, I happen to be saved at 12, I believe, and I had not yet reached puberty, so those lusts and pleasures didn't quite hit me as hard as they did once I hit puberty, but boy did they hit, and it was difficult for me, and I will definitely own up to that being probably my most difficult sin to overcome. But a hint, I never did overcome it. God did. Okay, and I just went along on his plan. But if I tried to fight it myself, no effect. I was completely impotent in trying to fight that. So, but look how it raises the game some more. Spending our life in malice and envy. Yikes, malice. I don't like to think of myself as, a person with malice in his heart. But yes, if it's all about me, then I don't like it when other people have my stuff or stuff that I want. And so malice comes forth and envy comes forth. And then it really ups the game. Hateful and hating one another. And boy, I don't like to think of myself as a hateful person. Even before I was a Christian, didn't like to think that. But if I'm self-absorbed, I'm thinking about me and not anybody else. But then I was saved because some teenagers loved on me. When I went to a Christian conference for teenagers, I was loved by teenagers, and that just changed everything right away. So let's look at a complementary verse here in Ephesians 2, which builds up to the one we all know, for grace, by grace you are saved. But look at verse 1. And you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you formerly walked, according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that is now working in the sons of disobedience. Among them we too all formerly lived in the lusts of our flesh, indulging the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, even as the rest. But God, being rich in mercy because of his great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our transgressions, made us alive together with Christ. For by grace you have been saved. I'm glad that but is in there. Because if it ended with the terrible stuff, I'd be miserable. But God loved us that much to save me from that. So let's choose to love every moment, because then we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch. Hope you have a great week.